Testing. Testing. Alright. We're live. We're off. Can you guys guess where we are right now? Hello. Today, as usual, we're doing some low flying over a city. And if you guys can guess which city this is, feel free to type in the chat.
300. 300. 300.
Too low, flaps. Too low, flaps.
300. 300.
Straight overhead is the famous Osaka castle. Many of you probably didn't know that this castle is not actually that old. It's built back in 1930s through a series of crowdfunding by the government to rebuild a lost castle that is destroyed in the fire 200 years ago. And we have just overflew it. And the area surrounding it is a big park nowadays, which used to be a military place. And it still have a big former military building. Some sort of headquarters, which I am not too familiar with.
500. 500.
And we'll overfly it once again. This time with the gear up. Let's keep it very low to the ground, probably like 200 or 300 feet this time, and do another 180 back to the castle. Let's see how it looks up close and personal.
Too low, gear. Too low, gear. Too low, gear.
We're circling back around to the park near the castle. Doing some pretty insane stuff with the Airbus right here. Banking almost 60 degrees to the right, and the castle is just past it. Right over there. hassle. Alrighty. I'll keep doing low passes over the cities. If you have any more suggestion you want me to do with the airplane, some crazy acrobatic stuff, I will try to pull it off. Currently we're flying over Osaka city right now. And later on we'll try to fly to the start of the Japanese civilization near Osaka city and into the mountains of this fertile land. For now we'll keep flying low to the ground. Hi. If you guys have any more suggestions for me to do with the airplane, feel free to leave it in the chat. Maybe you want me to do a touch and go in an airport. Maybe you wanted me to do a touch and go over the oceans. Or a bridge. Or a piece of road. Anything else. Let's follow this piece of road right here for a while. There are many stretches of highway near the city, like any modern city, and like Tokyo, has a very sophisticated subway system and highway system. And I'll try to follow this one as long as I can. Over the river. And the photogrammetry of this city done by Asobo Studio is pretty high detail. As you can see, this like every building is pretty much decked out with details. And I can get as close as I want with the airliners. I mean, of course, within reasons. If I'm not hovering like with a helicopters, you wouldn't see any flaws with the city right now. Like, looking straight down at the street level, everything looks pretty much lifelike. And which is a great plus with photogrammetry, right? Because you get all the details from the 3D scans around the city. And right now I'm running live weather right now, so if you're in Osaka, please, if you have the time, confirm whether this is accurate or not.
Too low. Gear.
Yes, the airplane is complaining to me
Too low.
because I didn't have my gear extended low to the ground, which is pretty sensible. Sensible thing to do. Complaining that you don't have gear when you're low to the ground like this is pretty understandable. Please tilt your plane. Yes, I'm tilting my plane. In the Airbus, you cannot tilt or roll your aircraft to a certain degree. You can roll until the protection starts. Because this is an Airbus, it will not allow you to tilt your plane past 60 degrees. And once you are past 30 degrees, the aircraft will actually tilt you back to within 30 degrees. And that is part of the normal law in the fly-by-wire system. So every Airbus has this protection. It will not protect you if there is a severe downgrade of the aircraft system, that it may be in alternate law. In the simulator, you can force it by going to slow-mo and crash into something, and it would pretty much guaranteed go to alternate law or even direct law if you have the gear out, which means that you will lost all of your Airbus protection, which means that you will be flying blind with the side stick without physical feedback, and but you will be controlling all of your control surface, like your ailerons and your rudders and your elevators, directly without any kind of computer translation and computer protection. Which is a pretty scary thing to do if you think about it, because but of course in real life, in airline trainings, pilots are trained to do that, right? You have to be able to handle your aircraft in certain failure situation. So any downgrade, for example, in the alternate law or direct law, you have to be able to control your aircraft without your auto trim, without your protections, and probably losing an engine too. And you still have to carry your passengers back to the ground safely and confidently. We're overflying this big river right here in the Osaka area. I don't actually know this river right here. It's pretty wide. If you can see it down on the left side of our map, there's a big river going back up to the mountain in Kyoto, and I'm assuming that in the ancient times, people would just sail up this river up to the old capital of the country. Speaking of Kyoto, let's fly to it via our river. Let's follow the river for a little while. And stay low to the ground. Last time we were in Tokyo, and this time we're in Osaka. Last stream, I messed up some of my audio settings, so none of you can actually hear what I'm saying. But I've been speaking and I've been live streaming for an hour last time, and I didn't realize my mic was outputting to the wrong channel. So it ended up being a pretty big failure on my part. But this time I checked, and I'm pretty sure you guys can hear me. If you guys can hear me, please say something in the chat. It'll be highly appreciated. It's pretty gloomy today within Osaka region, and there's some pretty dense cloud at times covering the ground, covering a large portion of the ground, but we still have a large area with sunlight covers, so it's not all bad. Alright, let's go back to the main river and follow it up to Kyoto. And I'll use this time to update my stream location to Osaka. Alright, welcome new viewers. We have 52 whole human beings watching this stream right now. Thank you for staying around. I know this probably isn't a channel that you've watched before, and I primarily do shorts video with Flight Sim 2020. And this time is actually my first time streaming with my mic on. Hello, hello. Stream have been going on for 20 minutes already. And it will probably go on for another hour before I call it quits today. But for the time being, say hi in the chat and suggest anything you want me to do in this chat, and I'll try my best to do it. Right now we are trying to follow this river up to the old capital of Japan, and we are right now at Osaka City, and yeah, we've just passed the castle not that long ago. And Japan is one of those areas that is heavily covered with urban areas. I mean, Osaka is one of the areas that is heavily covered with urban areas, and there's few riverbanks that are flanked with parks and recreational areas. And those kind of parks and areas are very much you can see them all over the place in animes or other cultural or other movies. And right now we're following up the river to Kyoto City. And later we may even go down south to another ancient part of Japan that is very famous for its animal these days. Flying through a couple of bridges. And Japan is one of the few areas that is heavily covered with photogrammetry by the Microsoft Flight Sim 2020. If I remember correctly, it is one of the first country that is covered with the world updates with photogrammetry data. So we have a vast number of cities that is highly detailed. But it comes to an end if you fly far enough from the city centers. So I don't know if this whole area is gonna be covered with photogrammetry, but let's hope that it does, because these kind of detailed scenery is very good to look at, like especially when we are flying this low to the ground. We are like 150 feet off the ground. And this is a vertical stream, and I know that the reason I'm doing a vertical stream is because I know that YouTube push these type of stream to viewers that are not usually watching my channel. So yeah, on the bottom of your screen on the left side we have the Volanta map that is showing our flight path. We're following back up the stream towards Kyoto, and on our bottom right side is my PFD, so you can see within the cockpit what is showing, what the aircraft is doing. And at the middle of the PFD, maybe you can see the green part with the circle and then 3 lines sticking out of it. That is called the flight path vector, and it is actually showing where the aircraft is flying towards. So it will account for any kind of crosswind or any kind of tailwind, any kind of crosswind and updraft or anything, or whether you're descending or ascending. So for example, right now the bird is above the horizontal line, so it shows that my airplane is actually climbing slightly. So if I keep the bird down at the horizontal line, it will mean the aircraft is actually staying level flight. Right now we're following the river up to Kyoto, and we can see there's a lot of recreational or green spaces around the river. And I believe that these are not photogrammetry buildings, right? So we're just past the parts where Asobo Studio or Microsoft have done their photogrammetry for Osaka. Probably somewhere down there, yeah. After that bend, there's a quite sharp transition which we lost of the buildings, which is understandable. I do not expect them to have full photogrammetry of the whole area, but that was a pretty decent size of the area. By the way, do you guys like this view more, or do you guys like cockpit view more, or do you guys like this belly view? You can feel free to tell me in the comments or in the chat. And I can see that we have a consistently 40+ people watching this stream, which is pretty good on my part. You know, vertical streams are not that easy to do because people usually were scrolling through their shorts, YouTube Shorts feed. So if you were scrolling your Shorts feed and you come across this stream, hello, and oh wow, there's a straight piece of river right here. Maybe this is man-made, right? I feel like this is man-made. Let's follow this up to Kyoto because I know the river splits around here. and we have to go north. So let's go towards the northern side of the river. Probably there, right?
Too low.
Yeah, there is the northern stream of the northern part of the river. This one, I think. Yes, we will try to follow this up to Kyoto. And the ancient part of the Kyoto capital was largely destroyed through the years because people just keep coming to the city, and they naturally would have to rebuild everything over time, right? So the very ancient part of the city is largely destroyed. And I can see there are some photogrammetry buildings over here on the left side of the river. So maybe in Kyoto and Osaka there's photogrammetry, but in between those areas, in between those urban areas, there's not much photogrammetry coverage, which is fine. I don't mind that. As long as the heavily populated area have photogrammetry, we'll be able to look around. And as you can see, the whole Kyoto area is surrounded by mountains, and therefore have a lot of flat and flatlands, which used to be very shallow ponds. That is great for rice agriculture and good for like large-scale urban development, right? The old Kyoto capital was a city that is entirely man-made, in the sense that it was not a naturally developed city, in the sense that, like, in other city you may have a city center that was first developed and then you gradually grow outwards, right? But the old Kyoto capital was actually chosen by the emperor in the ancient times to build a large city highly modeled after ancient Chinese old capitals. So it will have a very rectangular shape, covering a large area with a big central kind of avenue leading up to the palace and where they have their government and stuff. And I've just seen a video talking about the ancient Japanese people and their first few capital cities is around the Osaka, around Kyoto, this region kind of here. And the large part of the city is the large part of the ruins of the old city was pretty much non-existent these days, and you may come across a few of the plaques and stone pillars dotted around the city, and you have to really look for it for you to find any evidence to the old city. And of course, some of the shrines and temples are preserved within the city. And on the topic of shrines and temples, in the ancient times when the first capital in the Kyoto area was developed, the emperors actually only permitted like 2 or 3 temples, large temples on the within the city area. So they actually banned any kind of private temples in order to have a more tight grip control over the religions of people. It's quite interesting to see that there's a lot of low-density urban housing in Japanese large cities, right? And the further out you go from the city center, the smaller the lots become, and there's a lot of small individual low-density housing around this area. And I can see on the map that there is a large square park type stuff on our 4 o'clock. So let's try to go there and check out what it is. And I may actually turn on the landmark or the point of interest marker in Microsoft Flight Sim in order to take a look of these buildings. Alright, assistant options. If we go to point of interest, we can have landmark markers on. And we can turn on airport markers as well. And we can turn on city markers as well. And let's go back. Alright, there's many stations and shrines dotted around the city. Maybe you can see. Toji Temple, let's check it out. On our right side, that is a large green space over there. It says. Yes, that was it. I wonder what that is. That was the... What was that? The Kyoto National Garden. Oh, that's a national garden over there. And there's a tower right over there. What the hell is this? Near the Kyoto Tower. There are many towers in Japan because of their... Oh, we're overflying Kyoto Station right here. And it's a pretty big station with... assuming Shinkansen and other big trains that pass through here. And Kyoto, the city marker is right over here, so this is probably the city center of this region. Let's turn this
500.
alarm off.
Too low, gear.
500.
Too low, gear. Too low, gear. Too
Let's
low,
turn off
gear.
this GPWS warning.
Too low,
warning.
gear. Too low,
Right, GPWS terrain
gear. Too low, gear.
lap and system.
400.
Let's keep the terrain on.
Too low, gear. Too low, gear.
Alright, back to this field. We've just passed through Kyoto area. And let's do a quick 180 to check out that garden again, because I really want to take a good look at that. And the next time I may travel to Japan, I may actually try to go here and check out some of this area, because it's a very big cultural dense area for Japan. Like if you want a highly modern Japan city and urban area, you go to Tokyo, right? But if you want the deep cultural and ancient shrines and temples and old kind of culture stuff, you will probably go to Osaka and Kyoto, because this is where the origin of the whole civilization is. But it's a shame that a large part of the old capital is pretty much gone from this area, so you really have to look for it in order to find anything really old. That is the Toji Temple. You can see over there, and it is not loading in right now. Yeah, this is Toji means East Temple in Japanese, if I remember correctly. And this used to be the edge of the ancient city, right where the temple is right now. And there is a very high tower that is very famous in the ancient times. People can see that tower from miles away because it is probably the highest structure in the area, right? If you think about it. And of course nowadays a typical apartment building will be higher than that, right? But imagine in the ancient times, you arrive at the city and this huge, humongous monument of a Buddhist temple just appeared. And you would have to think that, wow, this is probably a very big nation and a very powerful place. And we're overflying this garden right here now. I do not know which this one is. And we are going towards the Kyoto National Garden right here. Let's go to this field and check it out. Just cover a pretty big area. A large city block size with a large roads and shrines and temples within the garden area, and some modern greenhouses over here, I believe. Maybe. All right. Let's go back down to some eye-watering low level and drop our gear. And let's go as low as we can over the city, as low as we can. And I'll just choose this road. Choose a road and follow it down south to another ancient part of Japan civilization. Japanese civilization. Let's follow this huge, humongous road off to our right side and stay like 500 feet off the ground. There's some pretty big roads in this city, but not much of those elevated highways that is common in Tokyo and Osaka. Let's follow this road right here. And I can see alongside it is a train track that is very straight. Maybe I'll follow that to the southern region of the city. And of course, you guys know that Japan is pretty big on trains. They have in many of their cities they have highly sophisticated train networks and subway system that a lot of other cities around the world are trying to adopt a similar system. And of course, they have to do things differently, right? Because of the culture and the geography of Japan, many of the systems run both underground and above ground, right? There's a lot of details in these kind of photogrammetry highways. Oh, we are passing through a substation, electrical substation. Oh, let's go to our cinematic view. We're doing pretty low speed, low on the ground. This is pretty crazy. Oh damn. Okay, let's go back to this view because I do not want to crash. And it looks like we've just passed the city area, past the river, and we're down at here with a lot of farmlands on flat plains. And I imagine that this is pretty modern planning stuff because of the grids are pretty regular size. And we'll keep following that railway or highway over there. And yes, of course, these right now underneath us are not photogrammetry buildings. These are default placeholder buildings. Okay. So right now The road is going to the west, which I do not want to follow it. I will follow us back down south with this river right here and try to find our next place, which is down here, past this pass over the mountain into another flat plain within the mountains, which is even older in Japanese civilization. And then after that, we'll be going back to Osaka, and try to land on one of the city urban airports. So if you have any suggestions that we can do in the streams, please feel free to leave it in the comments or in the chat. Let's keep it close to the ground. We are currently 150 feet off the ground, which is something that you will never see in an airliner of this size. Of course, this is not a very big airliner. This is just an A320neo, but the A320neo is considered pretty large if you are flying this low to the ground and this low. We are currently doing 140 knot IAS. So with a 7 knot tailwind, we're doing 150 knots, so around 160 miles an hour over the ground. And we're doing pretty low in the air. Imagine, you can imagine if you are someone from the ground looking up and then there's a huge airplane just flying overhead of your house. You'll be pretty terrified. Like this. I can probably go lower than that though. Let's try to go lower than that. Let's stay like 100 feet. We are in a pretty flat part of the area. So this is 100 feet off the ground. You may see it 200 on our FCU. But that is because that is above sea level, and of course we're not at sea level right here. We're slightly elevated. So how does that look on the ground? That looks pretty terrifying. 100 feet off of the ground. And we're 50 feet off of the ground. Oh wow, we're pretty much guaranteed we've struck some trees over there. Alright, let's get our gear back up. There's some pretty high electrical towers around the places. Dotted around the places. And there is a temple over there. I wonder what temple that is. If I can see it. What temple is that? Does that mean that there will be custom model over there? Let's hope there is. Because this default scenery is not looking good. I mean, the trees look good and the sun shining is pretty good, but the houses is not. They look pretty generic. But they are at the correct places though, which is good. Alright, we're passing over this temple. Oh wow, look at that. Oh, is that the famous temple around the city? Ah, yes. Yes, I definitely have seen this on the internet. this temple right here. If I remember correctly, that is the temple that is used by the old kind of upper class citizens for their religious purpose. Okay, we are going to be heading back home to Osaka via this mountain pass right here. So straight ahead, 12 o'clock, that is going to be our pass back to the Osaka city area. And we'll then try to land on one of the runways in the... Let's try to see this airport. Let's have a low pass on this airport right here. This is yeah, runway 27. Let's look around at this airport right here, and then we probably will not be able to land here because it is such a short runway. I do think we cannot land here, so we have to do a low pass over it and then see, like, just check it out. We don't have to land, right? We don't have to land yet. We still have plenty of field and plenty of time. We've been streaming for 50 minutes right now and accumulated over 3,000 views, which is a lot for me. And for those of you who have just joined, welcome. We're doing a low kind of urban tour around Osaka city or Kyoto area, and we'll go even lower than this, right? We typically do this at like 100 feet in the air, so let's do it. And let's start our descent to 100 feet. Hey guys, a lot of you have said hi. And if you guys want to suggest anything to do in the stream, feel free to do it in the chat. And you may even suggest which city we will go to next time, so that I'll have some time to prepare for next stream. Right now I don't have a fixed schedule for my streams, but we'll do this pretty often because I'm trying to accumulate my watch time for monetization for my channel. So I'll do these streams pretty often, as often as I can afford to do it. Land in Kai-Tak. We'll definitely do it sometime in the future. And the first stream that I didn't have my mic on, we actually overflew Kai-Tak a lot of times. We have been circling around Hong Kong for that stream for like an hour before we stop the stream and land at Kai-Tak. So maybe next time we'll go back to Hong Kong and do that stream again, because last time we didn't have our mic on, and if we're back to Hong Kong at my home base, I will have a lot more trivias for you. Since I will be more familiar with that area. So I do know that there are a portion of my viewers are from Hong Kong, which is understandable, right? Because I am from Hong Kong. I can see my friends leaving some chats in the chat. Well, this is a pretty mountainous area over here. And we'll follow this pass over back to Osaka. And right after this line, we'll be back to the Osaka urban area. And then we'll try to overfly that airport up to our run 1 o'clock. And do a low pass, maybe a touch and go. Let's do a touch and go, yeah. Why not? Do a touch and go over there. We'll go flaps through right here and slow the aircraft down. Let's go back to the cockpit view and let the aircraft decide our speed. Our gear is down. And there is the field right there. Let's try to line it up with our aircraft. We'll do a touch and go. Flap full. Flap full. We'll do a touch and go over there. And then we'll go back up into the air. There's a temple or something right here. Wow. And I guess those are some solar panels. Alright. Pretty interesting. Alright. We are almost there. We're 2 miles off from the airport. So let's try to line it up. Oh, that is the airport. That is not the airport. Oh, we just overshot it, I think. Don't worry. We can save this, I do think. But we do have to descend like right now. We're 1,000 feet. This is fine. Let's do a touch and go at this airport right here. Pretty nerve-wracking, since we are not at all stabilized, but we'll do a touch and go. Let's try to land at the marker and then go. We're very high. We're very too high actually. 300 feet. We probably only can do a very short touch and go here. Let's flare. Touch. Toga. Yes. Nice. That toga flush. Alright. Go back to thrust climb nav. And I will pull the speed back to 130 something, 145. And stay low to 1,000 feet probably. And follow this river. Right, some trouble with the auto throttle, but I've got it under control now. And we're flying pretty much straight to the ocean right now. And and we can have a quick visit over the new modern airport near the seaside. There are a lot of radio towers around the area. Like these kind of towers are pretty common. Like there's like 4 of them right here. Alright, I've noticed that our heading is not updating from the stream, so I'll try to restart the program. Have it running again. Yep, updating now. Okay, we've done the touch and go. That time it's 200 feet per minute. And then 1.4 Gs. That is a touch and go. Pretty acceptable. We'll go back down to the airport right now. And then after that we'll loop back up to the north side of the city and then do a landing. And then the stream will probably end right there. We'll do a touch and go again at the new airport. Let's try to check it out. We will probably follow the bridge over to the airport and overfly it first. And then loop back around. Maybe do a left-hand traffic pattern to runway 06 right. 06 right. And then go back up and check out another airport at the north side of the city. And I do think we can see the airport of our distance of we're 40 miles out from the international airport. And I saw some videos saying that that airport is sinking into the sea, which is really interesting. Like any piece of reclaimed land, you definitely will have some kind of sinking over the ocean, because not everywhere the ocean can be, the ocean floor can be very unstable at times, and we do see that at home at our Hong Kong International Airport, right? Pretty much the whole area of our new airport is also built on reclaimed land, so pretty understandable that that will happen. Just fly low to the ground. Whoa. With some pretty strange looking apartment complex right here. With every apartment building looking the same and facing the same direction. And in Asian cultures, the way, the direction that the building sits is pretty important to them, right? Like if you think about it, where the sun is facing at which time of the year is pretty important to how the house will have like the different temperatures, how the house will heat up, how will it cool down, or maybe it will be able to contain more heat in the winters. And we are coming up to the airport is on our 12 o'clock, right over there. It's pretty far away from the sea, in the sea. So maybe we'll speed up a little bit, maybe like up to, we'll go back to flap 2, maybe flap 1 even, to 200 knots to speed up our journey to the airport. We'll follow this coastline, and let's keep our gear up for now. Get our gears up for now, and then fly low to the ground. Let's follow this road. We are right now 100 feet off of the air. Our only obstacles are those buildings over there. And we're flying pretty fast too,
100.
like 200 knots.
100. 100. 100.
Yes, 100.
100. 200. 200.
Let's go back down. Okay, I can already see the bridge leading up to the international airport. We'll try to follow the bridge right here. Let's turn right now and follow the train tracks. The train tracks will lead us to the bridge. Let's do a pretty steep turn right here, and there is the bridge. Oh wow, we just passed through a building. Okay. The sea is pretty calm today. There's not much wind in the area, so we'll do a touch and go on the airport. Ooh, not a touch and go on the bridge. We're 50 feet off of the bridge. All right, let's check it out. Let's check this international airport out and have a look at it flying this low. All right, this is runway 24 left, I think. Yeah, 24 left. And then these are the terminals, buildings. And I do think I do not have any custom airport installed here. Maybe, but the texture looks pretty good, I think. Yep, Kansai Airport. Alright, let's do a quick loop back around to the runway 06 right. And drop our landing gear. And then reduce our speed. Flap 2 and go back to the other runway. We'll do a very quick touch and go again. Just a short hop over the airport. And then after that we'll be going back into the city and do our landing, final landing in the city center. Somewhere in the city center, maybe we'll visit the castle once more. And then we'll fly over to the urban city center airport. Right, there is the runway over there. We're doing a very short final and we'll just do a touch and go. We will not be doing a full stop or anything. Alright, let's start our final turn right here. Go flap full as we're turning final. And go down to 100 feet or so. Do a touch and go. Oh, this is a very bad dog. Like, we're very much not stabilized. We'll definitely be touching down in the middle of the runway. Well out of the touchdown zone. Let's do a little one wheel, maybe. Nah, let's do touch, and then toga. Mental grassers go around track, and autothrust is blue. Alright, gear up. Alright, let's go back up to like 2,000 feet maybe. And then we'll keep the speed pretty quick this time, and then we'll try to do a high altitude dive and see how close to the ground we can get before we pull up. Alright, first climb, open climb, autothrust. Okay, let's go to 4,000 feet. Let's turn on the autopilot for change. And let's do our manual track to 120. After it leveled off at 4,000, I will disengage the autopilot and then try to go low to the ground again. Because low to the ground is fun. Alright, outstar we are leveling off at 4,000 feet. As you can see, in the empty aircraft, the A320 is pretty high performance. You can reach 5,000 feet like just like that. You don't need a lot of time at all, like a minute or something. Like a minute or two. Not a minute. A minute will be 5,000 feet per minute. Which I do believe the aircraft can do. Alright, autopilot off. I said autopilot off. Autopilot is off. And we will go to track mode and turn off the flight directors. Flight directors off. We'll go over to the north side and try to land our aircraft for the last time. Alright, let's stay pretty fast. Let's go to flap 1 and go to probably 200 knots. And near the seaside. And let's drop our gear in case we do a unexpected touch and go. We're nearing the end of the stream, so anyone just tuning in, say hi. And we'll be going to the north of the city, visit Osaka Castle for the last time, and then we'll be landing the aircraft. We're doing 200 and something knots, 220 knots over the ground. Alright. We'll level off at probably 200 feet in the air. This is pretty close. This is as close as I'm willing to get in this plane. Because although this plane is pretty high performance, it does not react as quickly as lighter aircraft. So any inputs that you do, you have to wait like milliseconds or two for it to react. And when it does react, like it will have to go through the fly-by-wire system, so you have to go through the protections, you have to go through the translation to the control services, so and then you have the weight of the aircraft also. So you will not see a immediate twitchy reaction from the Airbuses. Let's go lower back down to the ground. Let's go back to 100 feet in the air. Maybe even lower? You are dare to go lower? I don't know, there's a lot of tall buildings up there. Like I said, there's a lot of photogrammetry covers in this area, so I wonder what that is. There's a point of interest right overhead, right in front of us, but it doesn't show its name. I do not know what that is. And right now, it is not yet loading back in. So we'll have to go over there and check it out. There it is. That is the Osaka Castle. So maybe that is that. But it is not showing its name. That's fine though. We will start to reduce our speed.
400. 400.
As we approach the castle, we want to do a low and slow pass over the castle for the last time, right? We're approaching 4,000 views for the stream. That is crazy, dude. I'm pretty sure straight ahead that is Osaka Castle. So we'll just try to maintain this heading 027 and keep it low to the ground. Oh, that is the Osaka city marker. So that's that. Okay. So then that must be the castle, yes. 3 miles off, 12 o'clock. We'll be doing a very low pass over the city. Let's go flap 2 and then flap 3. Try to reduce our speed before we went to the castle. We're only a mile and a half away from the castle right now. So let's continue reducing our speed. We are passing over some tall buildings right now, so I will not be doing those low passes as much. And of course we will do low passes, but not as low as before. Alright, we can see the castle straight ahead. There it is, the castle. And there's a giant commercial buildings behind it. Oh my god, that doesn't look good. There it is, the castle is right there. And we'll do a flyby. Say hi to the castle, everyone. Goodbye. Alright, we'll try to find the airport now. To land the plane, finally. And if I remember correctly, the airport will be on our left side. Maybe 11 o'clock right here. I do think... Yeah, that's it. That's the old airport. That's the Osaka International Airport. And we're pretty much aligned with the runway right now. Almost aligned with the runway. We'll have to scoot over to the left side a little bit. And this time we'll be doing a full stop landing. No touch and goes. We'll be auto brake low. And we'll be doing idle reverse. So thank you so much for sticking around, guys. This is going to be the end of the stream. After we land, we'll take a little photo. And then that will be the end of the stream. And there is the airport that I want to land at. And we are on the left side, so we'll go back over to the right. We're 4 miles off. So, yeah. Stick around for the landing, guys. Stick around for the landing. Let's see how good or bad of a landing will I do this time. Alright. We're 500 feet. And we are now aligned with the runway. Let's do a low approach. Extremely low approach. An early descent. Down to 100 feet. Overflying those houses and trees. And do as smooth of a landing as possible. Those of you who just joined, hello, you're about to catch the end of this flight. And we'll be doing a landing at Osaka International Airport. And runway 32 or 33, I do not actually know. Let's see how smooth of a landing I can pull off this time. We are intentionally very low early. We're about 100 feet off the air. And we're aligned with the runway now. And there's a significant 4 knot crosswind from the left side. So we have to decrab on to the right. Alright, here it comes. The runway will go idle early. And touch down early also. Alright, here it comes. Flare. Decrab. And there is a bounce. Oh my god, landing ruined. No! That was a bounce. That is bad. Okay, full reverse. Okay, that is the end of the stream. Thank you so much for tuning in. And we'll be doing a full stop right here. Okay, let's cancel the reverses. And that's it, guys. Hope you have a good one. I don't know which time will be the next stream, but